You see, the spine is the main corridor for the movement of energy in the human body. And as a matter of fact, many cultures have a similar theory, including Western medicine, which sees the spinal cord as the main part of the central nervous system. Now, in Chinese medicine, there are two channels along the spine, and they are known as the Ren and Du channels, translated as the functional channel and the governor channel. The functional channel starts at the chin and runs down the front of the body all the way to the bottom of the torso. The governor channel starts at the bottom of the torso and runs up the back of the body, over the top of the head to the upper lip. All along both channels are a series of gates that operate like valves to regulate the flow of qi up and down the spine. But sometimes the valves get stuck and the qi either backs up or leaks out, and this causes weaknesses, aging, sickness, and pain. During standing Qigong meditation, one of the most basic visualizations is to imagine the qi flowing through the channels past each gate one by one. This is known as the microcosmic orbit, the small heavenly circulation of qi. I want to go through the main points along the microcosmic orbit one by one so that when you learn the basic technique of standing like a tree, you'll have a great visualization to go along with it. Along the functional channel, the Ren channel, we start at the lower lip. Then there is an energy center at the throat. Beneath the throat is the heart center. Below the heart center is the solar plexus. Below the solar plexus are the sexual organs. At the very bottom of the torso is called the Huiyin, the root gate. The governor channel, the Du channel, starts at the root gate and starts up the back. It first passes through something called the Wei Lu, which means the tailbone, also the turtle tail. It then goes up the back into the small of the back in something we call the Ming Men. The Ming Men, which literally translates as the gate of life. It follows up between the shoulder blades, something called the Shen Dao, the path of the spirit. The Da Jui, a little bit higher than the shoulder blades, where the qi actually splits in two directions to travel down each of the arms. There is the jade pillow, back of the bump on the back of the head, and then the Bai Hui, the crown chakra, the meeting of the 100. It comes over the top of the head to the forehead here, the third eye, or what's known in Chinese as the spirit court, and finally ends up at the upper lip. Now, if you've been keeping track, you'll notice that there is a gap between the first point on the functional channel and the last point of the governor channel. So there's a gap in the mouth. And so when we practice our Tai Chi Chuan or Qigong, we always place the tip of the tongue against the roof of the mouth, just lightly touching the upper palate just behind the teeth, and this connects the two channels of the microcosmic orbit. So, the microcosmic orbit visualization starts like this. Imagine gathering qi into the lower dantian, right here at the belly. You feel it gather and coalesce, and when you feel the heaviness inside the belly, then imagine it dropping, like through a trap door, into the channel below. It goes down from the lower dantian, down the functional channel, through the sexual organs, to the root chakra, then up the back, rising through the Ming Men, over the top of the head. You feel the tingling of the energy as it passes through the jade pillow, then the meeting of the 100, over the top of the head into the spirit court, the third eye, down into your upper palate, tingling through your tongue as you come back down into the functional channel again, and they're just circulating around and around. Anyway, that's a typical visualization. If you don't feel those sensations, it's okay. It should be a picture that you start to practice in your mind. All right, now I think you're ready to learn stand like a tree. Standing like a tree, also known as Zhangzhuan, is perhaps the most basic of all standing Qigong meditations. It basically means to stand like a tree, although sometimes you could translate it as being the tree. That phrase has a lot of subtle meaning. First of all, it is a motionless posture. You just adopt your position and stay there, steady as a tree. And you hold this position for several minutes. Some practitioners, as I've said, for up to 2 full hours at a time. We start by getting into what Western physical therapists would call a neutral anatomical position. Well, the next piece is to put the hands in the right position for standing like a post. Let's first adopt a position where we check all of our 3-point alignment. My feet are about shoulder width apart. I point my tailbone to earth. Remember, that's number 1. Number 2 is I sit down into my hips. Remember, I just and you don't have to go down very far. Just a little bit is fine, but you want to make this crease here. You use your fingertips to make sure that there's an indentation in your hip joint. And finally, the head floats up, right? And it's almost like pushing the energy up the back of the neck and exploding out the top of your head, making your chin just kind of fold down a little bit, right? This is the basic spinal alignment. Now, let your hands float up in front and round them out as though you were moving your arms around the big tree. I keep talking about hugging the tree. Well, this is the posture, right? While you're in this position, the tip of the tongue comes to the roof of the mouth and you begin your visualization. You find that energy feeling right in the lower dantian, and underneath the belly. You let it gather, you let it get heavier, you let it get denser, and then it drops. It drops out of the belly and into the circulation below it, past the sexual organs, into the bottom of the torso, then starts to move up the back of the spine, through the gate of life, then through the shoulder blades, over the top of the head, passing through the jade pillow in that base of the skull, over the top of the cranium in the gathering of the 100, the baihui, the crown point, past the third eye in the middle of the forehead and down to the upper lip where, connecting it with my tongue, it goes back down into the functional channel again and around and around. You can stand like that for as long as you like. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour. You might recall that I mentioned in the beginning of our series that standing meditation was a little more involved and a little harder than it looks. Getting yourself into position is easy enough, even making all the minute corrections to posture that we've gone over. But just try standing motionless in this position for even 5 minutes, and you will feel the strain in your neck and your shoulders and your arms. This happens to almost every beginner. And I think of it as a good lesson, because until you experience this for yourself, you don't fully understand that you're still using your body to make the tree, and you're not using your chi energy. Now, can you imagine? I've said before, my teachers have always instructed me to stand for an hour, a full 60 minutes. The body wasn't made to stand like this using only your muscles and bones. But if you don't rely on your muscles and bones, what's holding you in place? The answer is the chi, my friends. It's the chi. Keep on practicing, but add only a little bit at a time, maybe only a minute every other week. Remember that a Tai Chi player seeks joy in the journey, not the destination. I salute you. Qing An, Qing Ping Heng. May you have health, happiness, and harmony for all of your days.